What is going on, guys? This is Kyle from the Shadow Realm TCG, bringing you another update to my zombie deck profile. So I added a little danger engine, and so far it's been working pretty good, mostly because the dangers themselves, not only do they draw cards, but they also discard, which, as you know, zombies love doing that. They love being in the graveyard, and it nets us a ton of advantage. And I added some more awesome extra deck monsters, mostly Lynx, but we'll get into that as we go through here. So yeah, this is my little token I got at the regional. I use it as a field center, but yeah, let's get right into it then. Starting off, we got our 2 Unizombie. He's really good because, for one, he's probably your best normal summon in the entire deck, because he lets you discard and mill, which is really cool. He has one downside though, that nothing can attack except zombies after you use the mill effect. So, but as long as you have Zombie World, you should be alright, because all the dangers are different types that aren't zombie. Next, we got the 3 Mizuki. He's still a mandatory 3 of in every zombie deck, because of how good he is. He's just 3 monster reborns, and he's easy to mill off, and he's really easy with the dangers. Actually, if you have him in your hand, use the dangers to discard him, and you can get advantage that way. So that's really good. We got the 2 NECROWORLD Banshee. I think I played 3 before, but it's just, you mill it usually out of the deck, and so that's why I only play 2. But so you don't really want to see it in your hand unless you have a danger, so you can discard it. But basically what she does is she can banish herself from the field or graveyard, and you can activate Zombie World right from the deck. So it gets past things like Ash, so because it activates, you're not adding or anything. And it can come in clutch when your opponent destroys your other Zombie World, so you can just use this because it's a quick effect too. Next, you got the 2 Glow Up Bloom. I think this guy's just like a new staple for the deck at this point, because what he does is when he's sent to the graveyard from anywhere, from the deck, hand, etc., you can banish it, and then you can add a level 5 or higher zombie from your deck to your hand. But if Zombie World's on the field, you can just special summon it outright. So usually what we do is we special summon Doom King Baldarok, or Ballardrock. I think I said him wrong in the past videos, but anyway, yeah, this is a really good boss monster, especially for zombies. Basically, if you have Zombie World on the field, he's really, really good. So when a zombie activates its effect, you can either negate it, or you can banish their card. So usually you're banishing, but if you have Zombie World, you can also just negate your opponent's stuff. And he's a 2800 body that keeps coming back every standby phase, as long as there's a field spell. So even if you don't have Zombie World and your opponent has, like, I don't know, Trickstar, Light Stage, then you can just special summon him back. He does come in defense position though, just let you know. Next, I play the 1 Gozuki. He's another Foolish Burial for the deck, and when he's sent to the graveyard, you can banish another zombie and then special summon a zombie from your deck, or from your hand. So it doesn't specify what level, so usually you only use that effect if you have Baldarok in your hand, because you don't want Baldarok in your hand most of the time. So yeah. Next, these 2 cards are, I think, mandatory in this deck now too, is Vampire FRAULEIN. So not only does she save your butt when your opponent's attacking, because you can just special summon yourself in defense mode. Not only that, but when your zombies battle your opponent's monsters, you can activate her effect, and you can pay life points up to 3,000, and your monster gains that much attack. So the reason this is so good is because it triggers every single battle. So if you have Baldarok on the field, you can attack, trigger, banish, and then attack something else, and then he gains attack because you have to pay for cost. So usually what I do is I just pay like 100 because that's the minimum. But yeah, really, really good card. I don't know about playing 3 though, because if you have 2 in your hand, it's not the best. So next for the hand traps, 3 Ash, just you know, pretty self-explanatory, I think. And kind of the random card that's still in here is the one Glow at Bloom. If I get any more danger cards, this will probably be coming out. But the reason I still play him is because with him and Vampire FRAULEIN, you can make Coral Dragon, because that's all level 6, which is really, really cool because Coral Dragon's a pretty awesome card. And I actually used it at the locals that I went to, and my opponent was actually surprised. And so, I mean, it's a good card, but if I get another danger again, I'll probably take it out. Alright, speaking of the dangers, let's get right into those. So, just letting you know, I have a lot of one-of dangers, just because it's just the ones that I have, so bear with me there. But, of course, we got the 2 Dogman and the 2 Mothman, the 2 really cheap ones right now that came out in Soul Fusion. If you don't know what the dangers do, basically you reveal them, and then you shuffle your hand, your opponent picks a card, and you discard it. So that in itself is pretty good. But not only that, but if the discarded card was not the danger that you chose, you get to special summon it from your hand, and then you get to draw a card. Every single danger does that. And then all the dangers also have some effects when they themselves are discarded. So if you use a danger and you discard another danger, the other danger's effect happens. So basically what these two do is, this one, both players draw a card and discard a card. And with Wolfman, or Dogman, with Dogman, your opponent's monsters lose 1,000 attack until the end of the turn. So Dogman's pretty good, but Mothman is probably better, only because of your drawing, you're fixing your hand. Unfortunately, you are fixing your opponent's hand too, which isn't usually the greatest, but for you it might be more advantageous because you're playing zombies. So next we got the 1 Thunderbird. It's just a big 2800 beater, and when he's discarded, you get to destroy a set spell or trap. Pretty cool. The 1 Chupacabra. When he's discarded, he just reborns another danger in your graveyard, so that's pretty cool. The Sneaky Snake, Tsuchinoko. This one's probably the best one because when he's discarded, you still special summon him. So he's a guaranteed monster on the field and a discard, which is really cool. And then the 1 Nessie. Nessie just searches any danger when she's discarded. So yeah, those are all the dangers I play. The ratios, again, they're all 1 because I only have 1 of each of them, and they're kind of expensive, so I'm kind of going budget. And besides that, I kind of like that, all that utility. So, but without further ado, let's get right into the spells, because that concludes the monsters. So first we have 3 Call by the Grave. You absolutely need this card, especially with all the hand traps running around. Not only that, but it's also a solid card. It actually really hurts this deck in particular, which is kind of why I don't like it at 3, but you kind of need, like, I like having 3 of them because it's all around just a good toolbox card. Next you got the 2 Zombie World. I used to play 3, but because you can just search it and activate it, or not search it, you can just activate it right off of Banshee. Which is, it's really easy to do that because you can usually just mill her right from the deck. So that's why I only play 2. If it's in your hand, then you don't have to worry about milling her at all, which is also really good. But basically what Zombie World does is everything on the field and graveyard is a zombie, so which is pretty beneficial for a few reasons, but I'll get into those shortly. Next, these are all one-ofs, like power spells. So we got the Card Destruction. I added this back in from my original build because with all the dangers, it's really good. Next, the 1 Soul Charge, just game winner right there. Next, the 1 Reasoning. You don't have a lot of consistency with your levels in this deck, so you can usually get that off because all the dangers are different levels too, which is really cool. Next, you got the 1 Foolish Burial. This is basically just your best card in the deck most of the time. The 1 Monster Reborn, and finally the 1-for-1. I like using this because you can also send a monster from your hand to the graveyard, which is really beneficial. But not only that, you can immediately get out your power plays, which is usually your glow up bloom, and then send that to the graveyard with Link Rebo, special summon your boss monster, and keep going from there. So yeah, that does it for the spells. And then the 3 traps. This is what won me a lot of games, actually. The 3 Rivalry. The reason this card is so good is because of Zombie World. Because as long as you have Zombie World on the field, your opponent now controls a zombie. So they can only summon zombies ever. So they can't normal summon anything that's not a zombie. They can't special summon. They can't go anything into the extra deck that is not a zombie. So it really just locks your opponent down. Of course, this is an easy breakout. You just use Twin Twister most of the time, but it stalls you a good turn. And if your opponent doesn't draw the Twin Twister, it's usually game over because it's really easy for me to play around this. The one big downside though is when you're using this combo, your dangers are dead in your hand. So usually not the best thing, but it's usually worth it because the boss monster is just so easy to get out, it doesn't even matter. Alright, now let's go right into the extra deck. So to start off with the links, we got the Link Rebo, easy way to send your level 1 balloon guy to the graveyard. Next we got the 2 Vampire Sucker. This is still probably the best card in this extra deck because it's just a generic Link 2 for all your zombies, and then when a zombie is special summoned from a graveyard, you get to draw a card. So since your boss monster comes back, you can just keep drawing cards, not only on your turn, but on your opponent's turn. And even if you don't, and your opponent Monster Reborn something, you get to draw a card because it's technically a zombie in the graveyard. So really, really cool. Next, we got the 1 Akashic Magician. I never really go into this. It's kind of just a placeholder for now. I don't know what it's a placeholder for, but I'll eventually find that out. Next, I got a small Nightmare engine. So we got Cerberus, Phoenix, and Unicorn. I never had a Unicorn before, so that's why that's in there. That finishes some of our links. Next, we got a newcomer here. We have Curious, the Lightsworn Dominion. So the reason I play this guy is because all the dangers are dark, and they're all different types. So if you don't get Zombie World, you can usually use him, just go link off into him, and he's a pretty solid card. So when he's link summoned, he's a Foolish Burial, so you just mill anything. And then after that, you mill 3. So whenever you send something from the deck to the graveyard, you get to mill 3 with him. Of course, it's once per turn, but still, milling is pretty solid most of the time. Next, we have the 1 Summon Sorceress from the Special Edition. She was too expensive for me before. I usually use this when Zombie World's on the field, and it's usually to get out the Glow Up Bloom right from the deck to then link off with Link Rebo, and then just continue the plays from there. And she's especially easy to get off because they all have to be the same type, and if you have Zombie World, it's pretty easy. Next, you have the 1 SARYUJA. I don't go into him too much anymore, but you can still pretty easily go into him. And then the 1 BORRELOAD, just to wrap up the links here. And the last few cards here are synchros. So let's go right into it. First, we got the Coral Dragon. Again, this is the one that I said you can use FRAULEIN and your Bloom for, or your Glow Up Bulb. We got the 1 Red Eyes Zombie Necro Dragon. I would probably play 2 of these, which I might switch Akashic Magician out for, just because he gains 100 for each zombie on the field and graveyard, so he gets really big. And then when he destroys something by battle, you can special summon a zombie from either player's graveyard. So if you have Vampire Sucker, not only are you drawing a card, but you're also getting another monster on the field. So it's pretty good. It's a pretty good card. Next, we got the FA Dawn Dragster. I never really go into this anymore. So if anything, I would probably take this out for Red Eye Zombie Necro and just keep the Akashic Magician, because at least with Akashic, she's pretty easy to get out because everything's a zombie. So yeah, but I mean, it's still a pretty solid card. I just don't go into it that much. And then finally the Omega, which is very easy to get into as long as you have Unizombie. It's pretty easy to get into, and it's just a really good card, at least going first. So, all right, let's get right into the side deck then, which has changed a lot as well. So first we have our 3 Ghost Ogres. I don't really, yeah, this, my sleeve broke, which really sucks, but yeah, I don't really go into this too much either, but I mean, at least it's there. This is probably the most sided card, is the 3 Twin Twister. Probably the best side out, probably, at least against Altergeist and Sky Striker. You got the 2 Red Reboot, again, mostly for Altergeist. The 2 Solemn Strike, just to, if you're playing more defensive, I guess. The 3 D Barrier, really good against Thunder Dragons. Most of the time just stops their turn. And finally, the 3 Evenly Matched, the best side card, probably in the entire game. So you definitely need these. They're, I think, $20 or something. I just needed to pick them up when they were cheaper, but yeah. Anyway, guys, that's gonna wrap up this deck profile. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and leave a comment down below letting us know what you think. If you want to see more videos like this, more deck profiles, consider subscribing. It really helps us out. We're pushing towards 200 subs right now, which is pretty exciting, at least for me. So I'd really appreciate that. And if you haven't seen our Twitter and Reddit already, it was at the beginning of the video, but if you're on Reddit or Twitter or anything, just check us out. We usually post when our videos are live, or I'm pretty active on Reddit. I usually post things or reply to people, so it was really fun. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next deck profile. Thank you.